I know fear, but we're not friends. It tries to make me give in. It tries to make me back down. But I will not back down, and I will never give in. I am a mountain, and my fear is just a stone. And I will never bow down to a rock.
Creativity, it's
I don't know if I ever really thought about what creativity is.
In some ways, it is a hard thing to talk about because it is a feeling more than anything else. It's an expression.
Well, the textbook definitions of creativity have to do with problem solving and innovation.
Creativity is my pulse. It's why I get up in the morning. It's my soul.
it's like air, it's everywhere.
It creates a certain energy.
Vibrant and like open.
It's how we express who we are.
It's something that comes directly from inside you.
You have a passion.
It's how we make what we do unique.
Using your light.
To me personally, it's a way of life.
Well, I think it's a natural tendency for human beings to be creative.
Creativity is a personal expression of yourself.
To me, creativity is universal flow.
It's the ability to just think freely and openly so that you can actually solve business problems easily, not just using the left brain, but the right brain combined.
So creativity is a tool to bring us back to what is authentic and what is real inside of us.
Creativity is what transforms your life.
It saved my life, yes, and taught me quite a bit about myself.
It makes you feel like you're you instead of trying to be somebody else.
I think that creativity is love.
It is part of our divine nature as humans.
It's like describing God. I think you could interchange God and creativity.
Creativity is being connected to your larger self.
Floods of ideas and excitement and pure enthusiasm for life.
Creativity by nature is originality, the marriage of instinct and intuition.
It's actually life force, so it's the energy that's making everything just, be alive.
I think really simply, creativity is love made visible.
And it's more about letting go and being present.
And then allowing something to flow from that.
The journey is from here to here. It's only 18 inches long.
There's no set path here. Finding your passion and finding your calling, and then really listening to that and tapping into that and living it in an authentic manner.
Well, my definition of creation is when we forget about ourselves, when we become so involved with what we're doing or what we're thinking about that you lose track of time and space.
When that happens and you know that you have had no other thoughts about anything except what you were doing, is the most amazing thing as an artist.
I painted for the first time yesterday.
I recommend that they don't plan their painting, they don't prepare it.
I was told by my teacher, don't have any preconceived notions about what you're doing. Just put the brush on the page, choose a color, put the brush on the page, and let the brush go where you feel like it's taking you.
As long as it's a spontaneous thing to do, this is where creativity starts. One dot at a time, one line at a time, one little image.
I found after a few minutes when I got comfortable with the brush touching the page, how therapeutic it was to just let myself go.
And one step leads to the next, that leads to the next, and they're entering the moment. They're entering the process of the creation.
It's one of those things that it just has momentum to it, and you felt, more comfortable and more peaceful, so I better start painting more often.
It's all coming back from the place of non-conditioning, the 0 point. Place where nobody, nothing, no conditioning is making you do what you're doing.
We become a nobody. We become a no thing. We become no time.
I really feel it comes through us. I don't feel that I'm necessarily the originator. I feel like I take notes. I feel like the information is delivered and I'm there to paint it or write it, and then I share it with other people.
The most brilliant people that I ever met, whether it's John Coltrane or Einstein, they're the most humble people ever.
When I started my first sculpture, I had no idea what the heck it was going to become.
I don't know what this canvas is going to look like by the end of the day. And it's sort of liberating to feel that way.
But once I got into it and I started forming it, that's when all of the thought process fell off. And that's when I think my true self came out, and I was just, I could be doing this for 8 hours and go, where did the time go?
It's very hard to stop painting, for example, when I'm painting, because I lose that sense of time and sense of reality.
So when people want to enter into creativity, I just recommend that they don't go for technique, because if they go for technique, they're going to do again what they are told to do, how they are told to do it.
That's taking me out of my flow. That's taking me out of my rhythm. So we do need to find a way of distancing ourselves from the thinking head tripper.
To me, it means I won't worry about what happened yesterday. I'm not concerned about what happens tomorrow.
You're really completely present, and it's not about anything else except that moment.
Because we have this part of our brain called the frontal lobe, which is 40% of the entire brain, that is the inventor. That's the place where we create from. And as we begin to become very present with what we're doing, and it's being present in the creative process, that the frontal lobe, like a great symphony leader, begins to quiet down all the other circuits in the brain that are no longer related to what we're doing. We're no longer thinking about people we know or identifying with our environment. That the sensory centers cool off and the lights go out in those circuits, which means we don't feel our body. And that's the moment we're so present that we become super creative, and the body begins to respond physiologically. Energy moves out of the stressful centers and the survival centers that keep us rooted in our concerns and our worries. And we have an upliftment of energy, and our heart opens and we feel inspired and we feel joyful. And
you kind of get lost in that the kind of a zone that you get into. I find myself in a place that's very peaceful and calm and serene when I'm out photographing and working. Suddenly, all the frivolous, unimportant things in your life kind of go away.
That makes you feel alive. That's like, wow, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm doing. Yeah, this is really cool.
Once I'm in that moment, then the pictures that I take are completely just spontaneous.
When you allow yourself to go into that creative process, you are experiencing what it is all about.
Every time we dip in there and come back out with a voice, be it through dance, be it through paint, be it through cooking, poetry, whatever it is, we are in dialogue with the great mystery.
And you don't have to get advice from anything or anyone around you. You will start getting advice from yourself, from your heart. And you won't need anything. You'll just be hooked up. And it'll just flow. The universe opens up to me for a while. And I say, I can do that, and then I get all this help. What's amazing is you get help. You don't have to worry about anything. You just get the help you need. They just show up, and you listen to your what's inside you, and it happens. And then I noticed a very interesting thing. I would go on those waves of creativity, and then I would go into my mind and say, how did I do that? Oh my God, how am I going to do that again? And I shut down. I shut down my creativity. But if I try to, what I call muscle it, make it happen, no. It's like trying to move a mountain. And then I have to let go and stop and go back in and say, okay, so what is it what makes me feel good again?
I think that the creativity part of it is just realizing that they have something to offer to the world. And it doesn't matter if it's polished, it doesn't matter if it's perfect, but that it comes from them and there's a seed there.
Once you perceive you're a beam of light that comes from the mind of God, you carry yourself differently.
I went into television production. I had a voice that was mine and that was unique, and that as soon as I discovered that voice, I had this desire to tell, to get it out, and to do things and to make stuff, and I've been like a madman ever since. I can't be stopped.
And if we can't get those thoughts and feelings out, then we feel thwarted, we feel disappointed in ourselves. We know we have stuff roiling in us, we want to get it out, and creativity is how we get it out.
My creativity awakens others' creativity, which then in turn reawakens my creativity. So there's literally no end.
But I think we're so worried in our culture about people being able to make a living, you know, and not waste time doing things that don't make money, that people are discouraged from finding who they really are.
For me, God is the dance. And every form that I teach, every exercise, every focus, is really on bringing people to that totally freestyle moment. When we drop in and disappear and get out of the way of that great dance, we stop manipulating it and judging it and comparing it and competing with other people with it and doing all the ego things, and let the soul take over, take my hand, take my mouth, take my eyes, my ears, you know, my belly button, let my soul take my feet, and just be moved, you know, and know that I'm going right along with something that is so much bigger than me, where they're just making themselves up from scratch. And nobody could ever choreograph it. The beat is a great lover. The beat is an amazing lover. The word mojo means soul. You know, it's when you have your mojo, and I think that education is meant to serve the soul or the mojo of each person. It's meant to really inspire and not just put a bunch of ideas in.
The people who I salute the most and I admire the most is teachers.
You know, this is the Bronx. I think this was voted the worst school in New York City. Wherever you go in the world, kids love to create art. They love to make. They love to express themselves through music and through visual art.
Money, 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 that's all on my head. Call me Wonder Boy, because I'm about my bread.
I was a composer in the film and music industry for about 20 years, and I had a very successful career. Won a couple of awards, including an Emmy, and I've always felt that I was a natural teacher. I decided that I wanted to teach in a place where the arts were being challenged, where the battle kind of was, more or less.
Money come fast, just like an all-star. Catch me in the fast car, passenger, a porn star. Money, man, that's all I dream about. Young all-stars here, and I'm cleaning up flow. Yeah.
I know what the answer isn't, and I think that's kind of where I am in the process of my own exploration of how to encourage creativity. I think one of them is to introduce young people to art, and not just the aesthetic experience of making art, but appreciating other artwork. That's the first step in getting someone to see the world from a different perspective. To say, oh, I always saw it this way, and here's another way of seeing the same thing. The deeper you go into the inner city, the less that you find of that. And it's kind of it is the battleground right now, I think, for arts and education, and that's why I'm here.
I was a father in 9th grade, so.
Well, my mom had me when she was 17 years old with a father that chose not to be around after the age of 3.
He was abusing my mother. She decided to leave, so we left, and he started shooting at us. And they took us to a domestic violence shelter, and he found out where we were when we were there, and he tried to take me and my sister away from my mom.
I was always very afraid as a child, and because of my fear, it came out in anger, because anger was my shield, it was my armor. I learned how to be violent, I learned how to be aggressive, and I learned how to hurt people.
I had a job, we had our own apartment, and we lost everything, and we just ended up in a shelter.
Art in general has so much potential to heal, and it's just such a shame that people don't really accept it and acknowledge that power. I'm a poet, and I found through poetry that I had an vent, I had a way to escape for a while. I began to write more and more and more and more. And every time I wrote a piece, it would bring my head above water just for a little while so I could get enough air to keep on going. And free arts also helped me quite a bit.
I got introduced to free arts. It's been amazing. Me helping those kids, it's just so wonderful, and that's why I want to either become a teacher or a social worker.
Getting involved with free arts was a new experience for all of us as a family. So we never spent time like that doing arts as a family. Felt like a little kid again.
Words have power. They breathe, they cry, they laugh, they rage. And that's why I write. Every time I write, I heal myself. But through my writing, I hope to heal someone else also.
I really believe being creative can actually, in many cases, change the world.
People can really heal and transform and change using creativity.
I've been very fortunate to see a lot of young people's lives change around the arts. I know mine did. I know that my life changed when I discovered music when I was in high school.
I think we've seen so many people go from the top to the bottom, from unhappy to happy, from weak to strong, and transform themselves, and it's done through creativity.
And I think that that's fundamentally something which is, brings joy and happiness and fulfillment to your life.
And it saved my life, because in the abusive period, I didn't know if I wanted to live. And the creative solutions and dreams and ideas that I had not only nourished me, but sustained me.
It allows me to think clearly. It allows me to get out my angst. It allows me to smile brighter than I've ever smiled and throw leg kicks and just rock out.
I think it's important to be creative because it's important to be happy. And when people are working creatively, they tend to be cheerful.
And the side effect of true creation is when we experience great joy or when we fall in love with what we're doing. And that's when we can let go of our past and let go of our traumas and let go of memories that were so uncomfortable, because in the process of becoming nobody, the identity, the personality is vacated, and now that creative process can reorganize a new mind, and it finally makes its way on a cellular level into our body.
But since nothing and everything is the seed of its apparent opposite, nothing is everything, so therefore, inside of nothing, you have access to everything. So why be something? How boring.
And we can create money, and we can create new beliefs, and we can create new attitudes.
That's a lifelong tool when you tap into your creativity like that. That's something that never leaves you, can't be taken away. It's always there, always with you. And the more you grow into that, the more you understand that that's your gift, but it's also the gift that you give. Who knows where we can go with something like that? You know, it only takes one little different thought.
People find themselves healing from wounds they didn't even know that they had.
All of us have the choice to work with our light or be destroyed by our darkness.
It is a choice that they make, and they create that vision for themselves first, and then they follow through on it. And the reality of that transformation is built on creativity.
It has always changed the world. It is what changes the world. Without creativity, we have no change.
You know, I think Maya Angelou said it very well. God's grace is not like rain that comes once in a while. It's all around us, but we have to be in it.
Well, every challenge that the world has, it can be solved by a creative thinker.
You have one creative idea that will spark really a whole company. And then that one idea blossoms into a handful of people getting together, which then blossoms into 20 to 30 jobs, and then capital's applied to it. And before too long, it's hundreds of jobs.
The Albert Einstein School of Medicine has done a study. They wanted to see what cognitive or physical skills could reduce the risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. And they studied everything cognitively, and they got no results. They studied everything physically, golf, running, walking, swimming, blah, blah, blah. dancing forms. And nothing made a big difference. Swimming made a cardiovascular difference, but freestyle dance made a 75% reduced risk. And why? Because in the freestyle dance, you do not know where you're going to step next. You are in alignment with the Creator. You are you are art. You're not even making art or doing art. You are living art.
If we can reconnect with it, then we can start to find out who we are as human beings and take that into the world.
Really, it can be so tiny, such tiny creative things can make such a huge difference.
People at every age, you know, children, adults, and I have a 75-year-old retired heart surgeon who takes my classes. He's like wants to be a piano player.
And that's why kids need to have that boogie moment where they just get up and move. However and how do you feel? Let's move that. Oh, Joe's feeling angry, let's do that, the monster dance. Let's, give space for the movement to transform suffering into art. And I realized, oh my God, that's it. What creativity connects us to our inner life. And that's the most important thing we can give a kid.
I like dancing because it makes me feel good and it makes me express myself.
It makes me feel really vibrant and open.
I'm a drummer. I play the drums. I like rhythm a lot.
Our society does something so humorous and sad at the same time. They divide society up into the creative people and then the other people. And it's absolutely erroneous. It's absolutely not true.
Because we have been so conditioned by teaching, by people, by parents, by society, and we forget who we are really deep inside. So you don't know yourself from that place of what mom tells you you are, or what teacher tells you are, or what doctor tells you you are. You know yourself from just your experience of yourself.
Overhearing my parents say, oh, she's an artist. And I remember deciding, okay, I'm an artist. And because of that very specific memory, and because of my parents unwittingly planting that seed in my brain, I grew up knowing how to paint amazingly. I've never taken lessons. I've just accepted the fact that I'm an artist. How many children hear their parents unwittingly say horrible things to them with labels, you are this, that their mind just with the same receptivity of a child says, okay, I guess I am.
We live in a culture where art is not really necessarily supported. So that if you have a vision, you will struggle. If you have a voice, you will struggle. And to just have to feed, fund, and nourish your own art form is for most artists the great test.
It takes courage to be creative, to expose yourself. It takes courage to expose yourself, but if you're willing, then then that's where the gift is. And it's only meaningful, well, maybe it'll be meaningful to others, but what's important is that it's meaningful to you. To you.
Coming like a river through the plain, winding through the heat in search of a rain, knowing I will someday see the sea. Shackled though I see, my soul is free.
People come to me and say, how can I make a difference? I say, fulfill yourself in your own life.
I can actually make a difference You mean I can make a difference, me, poor little me, whatever, you know, because people think like that.
You each have your own expression, just find that. Feel good in it. Bring your intensity of your heart and what you're doing, your presence, your breath, your mind, your body into this moment, and that will make you feel good.
I think the world needs warriors of the heart.
A lot of people are basically walking around asleep. They're going through the motions, and you can see the potential in a lot of people, but it's like they don't know it's even there because they're not even awake. I've been asleep, I feel, a big part of my life.
Find your passion, find something that you love, and really dig deep inside of that thing, and really don't let it go, but really search until you find something that you love, and then really take it and run with it.
Art is sacred. You know, art is putting us in touch with the creation, with the creator, whatever that is, the source, however we want to name it. And the language of existence itself, and then what is my voice in that language? What is it that I came here to give to that bigger circle?
If I see one person on the floor struggling, just one person that doesn't know where to go, and I can help that one, then I did something. I achieved something. And then once they're ready, they'll help someone. They'll help and they'll achieve something, and it keeps going on. I only have one lifetime, but through what I do, I can affect many.